Well, hey, good afternoon, Journey Church. I hope all is well with you and your family. Wanted to take just a few minutes this afternoon and just share with you a little bit of an update on the journey. I pray your week is going well and that things are well with you and your family. So this week, got together with some of our leadership at the journey, and we began to talk about and kick around kind of where we're at in this process, how we can best serve you, serve the members and the people of the journey, but also serve our community as a whole. And so kicked around a lot of ideas, and they all had really good merit to them. But and I'll explain some of the difficulties we had working around some of those, and also the things that we've been asked to do as a church as well. The first thing we talked about is having worship outside, moving everything outside, moving our sound equipment, everything, and that's a great, very viable idea, but it has a couple of hiccups with it. One of those is weather. We can't predict the weather. It's supposed to be rather hot this weekend, and we don't have shade for everyone, and so it could be a situation where we have bad weather and nobody shows up, and we've got all of our equipment out there. So there's a lot of issues with that too. Trying to keep the number to 25% within a gathering is always a difficult thing to try to figure out how do we work through this in phase one. And so the second thing we thought about is having two services on Sunday, which is a viable option that would at least hopefully try to keep that 25%, but there's no guarantee how many people are going to come to each service. So we could try to do RSVPs, but I know how that happens, and when guests show up, and so we may end up with a situation where we're not able to appropriately social distance and do the things that we've been asked to do as a church. And then we have to clean in between to make sure things do stay clean, and we can't have children right now. Obviously, you can't ask children to stay 6 feet apart from each other. So that became kind of a difficulty for us. So we began to look and ask other churches in the area, those we partner with, and they're all going through these same questions. And so what some of them have been doing that we've yet to do, but we've been working towards this, is to have a true live streaming service, which would mean at 10 o'clock we run all the way through the service in a live format. We've been capturing it on video, and you get it then secondhand, and sometimes it's a bit awkward. And so what we are looking at doing is an actual live stream at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. It's going to be fun for us, and so we get to try out some new technology and put that in front of you. We're actually going to have a time in the middle of the service where, I don't know, Don and I are going to have story time with the kids, and we're going to maybe share a little children's sermon or lesson with the kids within the service. And so you're going to see that on Sunday morning. And so we want to invite you, at least until phase two, we're going to do this to try to minimize contact and try to figure out how all this works together. And so one of the things I was reminded of this week is in James chapter 4, where it says, should I go to this city or should I go do this today? And the phrase that always stuck out to me is Lord willing. What does God will? What is His plan for us? And we're going to actually talk this week at the end of 1 Corinthians about the open door for ministry. And I view a lot of this as an open door. A lot of us may see it as a closed door, but I just want to share with you a couple of things that God has done through this at the journey you may not know about. One of those is we have reached so many people through our streaming online than we would have probably ever reached just in the service on Sunday morning. We've had many people who have never even been to the church campus, and those people have jumped in and have begun to engage with the Journey Church. And so that's been a real blessing for us. And they've been asking questions, and we've been able to respond back to them. And I think that's an open door for ministry. And I think sometimes we have a tendency maybe to be selfish, to want what's comfortable for us, And maybe sometimes we should say, hey, if it's in God's plan. All things work together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose and His plan. And because of that, because God has a greater plan, I don't want to discount the open doors God has for me. In fact, Paul says this week at the end of 1 Corinthians, he said, I would rather stay in Corinth because guess what? That's safe. That's comfortable. But you know what? God has called me to Ephesus because that's difficult. In fact, he said, I'm going to be persecuted there. It's going to be a tough time. And so I would just encourage you right now, just ask yourself the question, what are the open doors God has given you through all of this? And let's use those open doors for ministry. I thank you for being faithful in so many ways. And I also thank you for being patient and waiting on the Lord during this time. And so if you ever have any questions or suggestions, please let us know. We're continuing to pray for you. But look at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. We're going to have a live stream worship service here just for you. We love you, and we are continuing to pray for you until the day that we are all meeting together in the same building. God bless. Journey on.